Wondering if drip campaigns are right for you? A drip campaign is defined as a series of messaging, whether email or text, meant to nurture a lead through the enrollment pipeline or even help you retain currently enrolled families. With childcare CRM's drip campaign functionality, we hope to be part of your long-term marketing strategy, allowing you to start, stop, pivot, or change the course of any messaging based on the parent's interaction with your team or the center. Let's take a look and see if it's a good fit for you.
All right, drip campaigns.
Drip campaign. So let's talk about what a drip campaign is. So a drip campaign, most of you are, if you're using drips, you're building them out in your business rules. So what you were doing is basically saying, here is my pre-tour drip campaign. Anytime somebody's at this status, I want to send out this email on day 2, this one on day 3, 4, 5, 7, and it's just a series of emails and text messages that are going off. And it was kind of clogging up your business rules, and if you incorrectly set that business rule up, it was really messing you guys up. So we've given you now the ability to create these drip campaigns, these really cool promotional niche campaigns outside of your business rules. They can include text, they can include email, they can include action, they can fire off business rules, they can stop business rules. So basically what we want you to do, and correct me if I'm wrong, is keep your business rules the task-based things, the phone calls, the reviews, the starts today, the one-on-one, person-to-person interaction should be your business rules, your workflow. Take your emails and your communications and move them to drip campaigns, unless it's the tour confirmation or kind of a one-off. But the long promotional threads or the nurture threads, let's move them to drip campaigns because you can do so much more with them, right?
That's it. Yeah,
Okay.
We want the business rules to stay to the kind of user interactions.
Right.
Like I said, the phone calls, the tours, etc. And if you want them to fire off a manual email or a very particular one or
Right.
reminders and stuff like that, but your drip campaigns are going to be, people were trying to do drip campaigns in business rules before, and it was messy, and you had to, it'd fire up like 15 emails, and you had to go cancel, or if you want to change the timing on it, it was just messy. So you don't want to do any automated emails or text in business rules because this is what it's for.
And I'll tell you what a lot of you guys were doing is we added that functionality for a second condition business rule, which kind of blew my mind and scared me to death. But what you guys were doing is you were saying, okay, I'm going to create this business rule condition that says when lead equals new lead and age group equals infant, send all these emails. But what you weren't thinking through is now you have no new lead business rule for anybody else except infants, and that's only going to fire off when you've got an infant in there. So we're trying to take away the messiness of that and make it more clear and concise. So now you're going to manage your drip campaigns within the marketing tab. Now, just a reminder, as we build these out, you need to have these templates already in existence. You cannot create the template on the fly. So step 1 is go through your email templates and either identify which of them are drip campaigns or create new templates to meet these campaigns, because you cannot create templates within the creator or the wizard or whatever we're calling it. Once you do it, we won't create one on the fly. I'll kind of show you how we did it, but you're going to hit that add campaign button. For time's sake, we'll pretend it's like a cooking show. We can go to another one, or you can make it on the fly if you'd like.
Just click through this. Let's
All
do
right.
this as a test. It's very obvious it's a test. All right, what do you want? Do you want a countdown?
Yeah, okay, so here's the one that I think is going to need the most explanation for those of you using drip campaigns and training other people. Explain to me the difference between a countdown campaign and a fixed campaign.
So a fixed campaign is, let's say from today, I want an email to go out in 1 day, 3 days, 5 days, 6 days, very set times, kind of business rule like. That is a non-countdown. A countdown is, I want to send a series of emails from the time the child starts, from then until now.
Okay.
So you're counting down from that future date.
Okay.
Or maybe it's their age out date, or, I think we're...
Wait, start again. Say that again into the mic and louder. You're counting backwards from a date?
Counting backwards from a date, like expected start date. When the child starts, we want to proportionally send emails from now till then. Is that right?
CS, go
Count
close 115 tickets. What he's saying is that thing that you guys have all asked for, hey, can I go backwards if they start on May 15th? Can I send emails leading up to May 15th? And we would always say, no, because business rules trigger forward. So when an action happens, something happens. But now we're saying with drip campaigns, you can say before this date.
So like this one, I want to count down from the child's expected start date. because the child's expected start date is not always 6 days from now, it can be anywhere from tomorrow to, 6 months.
Right. Holy moly. So what are my options in the countdown option? I've got expected start date. I think I have date of birth, right? So if I wanted to do a new mom campaign or something, what else is in there?
Yeah, there's this list needs to be cleaned up a little bit because I don't think it makes sense from the child added date. You don't want to really go backwards from that one, but you could go forward on that one. So we're going to put a little bit of logic in here to make that one here. But the two big ones from the countdown are age out, date of birth, and start date.
Yeah.
And then that's what we've got so far, and then we're evaluating other dates in the system. And you do also have lead dates, and then we will be adding task dates. So if you want to say
until starts today or until transition or something. Okay, so big news is that the function exists, that we can go backwards now.
Right. And if you want to do a drip campaign from the tour,
right,
you can do that too.
Okay. Oh, before the tour is what you're saying. Okay, I'm with us now. So what you're saying is if I have a tour scheduled for a month from now, or an open house scheduled for a month from now, and I want to drip information until that open house, now I can do that instead of creating some silly little task that I complete just in order to fire something.
Right.
Genius. I love it. Okay. All right, so that's the difference between a countdown and a fix. So the fixed is the traditional day 3, 5, 10, 12, 31, the things that we're used to. The countdown is the cooler one. So let's do a countdown. So then you're going to say, here's how many drips are in it. And remember, this is dependent on how many templates you have. So do not say you want 7 drips if you're not prepared to stick 7 templates in. So let's go with 3. That's easy.
And just to make it easy, we've hard set it to 10.
Okay.
That's just because stereotypically in a drip, there's between 5 and 7 max. We gave you up to 10.
Right.
If you're trying to do more than 10, you're probably bombarding them with too many emails, or they're going to exit out 2 or 3 emails in and be firing off to another drip, which we'll show you how a drip campaign can trigger another drip campaign. But it is hard set to 10 per campaign.
It's like an inception.
Yes.
A drip campaign within a drip campaign within a business rule.
You can do it.
The description, again, it's not on any reporting, just notes that you would need to remember. Hey, here's when I did it, here's why I did it, here's maybe the goal. We've talked a lot about goal setting recently, so maybe what our goal or our outcome for this is. I like that idea. Throw your SWOT analysis in on it.
All right, here we go.
All right, so we did the countdown drip. So what's next? We're going to name this drip. Again, no one sees that except you, so just give it something that you would remember. Yep. First drip, kickoff drip, check-in drip, whatever.
Yep, this is just to name this individual drip. You can see up here we got our progress bar at the top, and then when we're in our build drip section, this is the progress to each drip in. So each drip is set up on its own, and you can see where it's going to walk us through each one. We've got 3 there, so we got 3 to do.
All right, so percentage into the campaign. What is the best practice, Ryan, on deciding this? I know obviously we go 25, 50, 75, 100, but how do I decide if I want it 33%? Is that something that I can even do, or are we typically looking at, if we have 3 drips, we're going to go 0, 50, 100?
So the slider lets you really pick anywhere, and this goes back to user group. I believe last year, thank you, Carmen,
we love you, Carmen,
for taking all the feedback on that one. We still are going to leave the percentages in on the backside, but the way this interface is actually about to change, and this is in development in the next sprint, is we're going to do countdown to, it'll be something over here on the side. It'll say, it'll say now right here, and it'll say like the end date here. So it would say expected start date. Okay. And you would just move the slider, and the closer you get over here, that would be you're sending it on the start date. Here would be that far away. And because you're building a drip campaign, you don't know when each lead is going to do what. Right. So all this is this is the anticipation point is I want an email to go out here, I want an email to go out here, here, etc. So the closer you move this to the slider, the closer to the date. The system will automatically calculate the percentage and pre-populate out. So if there's, in this case, let's say 3 drips and the start date's 3 days from now. Mm-hmm. If I do it third, and here, it will send in day 1, day 2, day 3. Okay. If that same drip campaign is set up over 6 days with the same settings, it would do it at day 2, today, day 2, and day 6.
Okay. All right, and remember, if you guys have a fixed date range in mind, you know you want them to kick off, then you want to go back to the fixed option and not do the percentage into the campaign or the countdown.
Which let me go back over here real quick. Error reporting is not gonna let me go back. All right, here we go. So if I go no, duration is 1 day. Then this is just
1 day.
length.
Got it.
1 day.
Okay.
So if you do have fixed, and the drip campaign, I mean, it will be explicit. Day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. But if you want to count down, you have to kind of have that slider, and you just say, I want it to go roughly this far away from the future date.
Yeah. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. I mean, I don't see people doing 32%, but I think you guys get the gist of it, and you'll know. And those of you, here is another thing I want to tell you about drip campaigns. Can my location level assistant director create a drip campaign?
No.
No. These are intentionally a high functioning feature set within the system. So we want people who know how to use it, who are dangerous enough to break it, to be the ones using it, right?
That's right.
We've intentionally put it up at corporate level. Franchise owners will be at your level as well. However, your location level people, even your regional level people, they'll be able to interact and send and queue, but just like your business rules, we do not want them creating a drip campaign. We want them to be able to kick it off after you've decided and determined how that drip campaign should look, right?
That's right.
That's intentional. Okay.
Yeah, just be clear. A director or location level user, they can fire a drip campaign off.
Right.
They just can't build one.
Create it or edit it.
Right.
Right.
And they can, interact with it, like they can trigger it by a business rule. There's the ability to manually fire it off. So they have ways to use it, they just can't build it because
Okay.
you want to control that.
I agree.
You don't want just things going all over the place. That'd just be chaos.
100%.
All right. So here we are at our 33% on our first one. What do you want to send? Let's pick your first template.
Let's do a pre-tour template.
All right, let's see. Pre-tour, which one? 1, 2, 3?
Let's go 1, 2, 3, yeah.
Okay.
In that order.
All
All
right.
right, so the actions, tell me about these, Ryan. So when we send pre-tour drip 1, we can create actions that happen based on the parent's interaction
Correct.
with that template, right? Okay. So what we've always said to you, or what I've said to you guys in the past, is the problem with business rules is that they go like this, just in one line. And your parent's interaction goes like this, right? It dips and dives with inside those business rules. And you've never really had a way to course correct or change direction based on whether the parent opened your email or clicked your email or downloaded anything. You've never been able to do that. Now within drip campaigns, you can say, okay, CRM, I want this email to go off. And if the parent does this, start something else. So in this situation, if the email is opened, I can decide I want something else to happen. I want to trigger a new business rule. I want to kick off a new drip campaign. That's what Ryan was saying, is the idea that you would have 10 drips in a campaign and then nothing else would trigger, maybe indicative to like a marketing list that you purchased. If you went out and got the entire school district list, maybe that would happen. But the people that you're using these drip campaigns are probably going to interact with your email. They're going to open it. They're going to unsubscribe. They're going to call you back. So they're going to need to leave the campaign and go to a different one, right? So that's what the actions are built for.
That is correct. Well, and like a perfect example would be, let's see a new web lead comes in and you have a drip campaign that's the 8 reasons why you should come take a tour. Well, once they interact with the email or maybe they click it and they liked item number 3 and that was our playground.
Right.
Then you can actually cancel this drip campaign and do a focus that says, here's all the amazing things about our playground and how we use our playground as a learning environment. And so then you can start steering content to the prospective parent ahead of time, which is why you'll never get to that 10.
Right.
And then the other side is maybe you're trying to get them into tour. Once they schedule the tour, then you can, instead of sitting there saying, why you should come into a tour, why you should coming from a tour like the business rules do, now you're like, I've already scheduled a tour. Why are you still sending me emails about it?
So here's what you should know leading up to your tour.
Here's what you should expect on your tour. Here's what you should expect after your tour. Here's what you should be prepared with. So you can, again, you're just giving more targeted, engaged content, which really gives you that relationship feel with the parent. Like the parent can see that you're trying to interact with them on a more personal level,
Yeah.
and you've set the system to help do that.
And I would say all of these features that we're talking about today, the personal level, the way that you're going to up your game here. I mean, think about the way if you're using enrollment team, you've already kicked that off. You have a series of pre-tour templates that are specifically from your enrollment team or the enrollment team rep. Then they interact with it. maybe they like something or they schedule a tour, then the next drip campaign is from the director or the assistant director or the family rep. I mean, just the way that you're able to tailor this communication, I think every one of these features, I think that was the overriding mission here, was to take your personal relationships with these people and just step them up a notch, right?
That's right. That's right.
All right, so beyond, oh, and you can add more than one action. So you can say, if this happens, do this, but you can also say, if the email bounces, do this. If the email is open, do this. So you can take as many directions on this one template and this one piece of the drip as you can. The other thing about drip campaigns is you've got emails, obviously, but you also have text. Text can be part of the drip campaign.
Correct. One thing to be very particular on is you're only allowed 10 drips. You can cross-mix text and emails, but you can't have both on one. So if you wanted to send 3 emails and 3 text, you would select 3 or 6 drips, and you can put them at the same time, but you would only do, you can only pick one communication method per drip, if you will. So in this case, we have email. That's all that can go out. We can make the next one a text, but you can flip between the two. And then you can see here, I basically said, if the email bounces, cancel the drip campaign, because there's no point in trying to, I mean, that just increases spam scores, and it just is not useful. If they open the email, in this case, I said cancel the drip. If they open the email, start a new drip, and I just selected this one.
Yeah.
It does.
I love the idea of a text message campaign, too, and that one can go longer. You guys ever, you're subscribed to some retailer's list, and once every 30 days I get a text message just about something I might like at that store, and I think making a long-term text campaign, that's really cool. Again, they can opt out, they can unsubscribe, they'll tell you if they're done hearing from you, but I love the idea of a text campaign, especially go audit your data. There's a lot of files in there that have a phone number, but they might not have an email, so you couldn't utilize these. So having kind of a mirror text and email campaign I think is really neat. All right, so building all of these out, can you scroll to the next option, or we need to build them out so we can show you the stop triggers?
I'll build this out real quick. One thing I want to point out is, if you noticed in this one, I set it at 33, or I set it right here. When you get to the next one, it will not let you go beyond that, because the first drip, you don't want to send it before the first, then your stuff goes out of order.
How intuitive, everyone.
So to ensure, now this is a little bit of a development item, and we'll get this in before the final release, is we'll make sure this is like kind of grayed out and indicates why you can't do that.
Okay.
But just for our demo today, it will not let me go back, and so the next one I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and bump this to 66, and then go next. Here's the last one. See, it won't let me go.
So smart.
See,
Good job, team.
I can't go before 66. So then here we go 100%. We'll say we're going to do an email. Whoop. We're doing RP here, and we'll just get to there. So now we're at our stop triggers.
All right, so let's talk about what a stop trigger is. It's the same concept as in your business rules. So do all of these things until this happens, okay? So within your stop triggers, you can do it based on child statuses. You can do it based on lead statuses.
It's only lead and child statuses.
Okay, only lead and child statuses, right?
Yes.
Because the one-on-one interactions are in your business rules. That makes sense.
Right.
Okay, so when child status equals tour scheduled, stop and start something new, right?
Right. Because if the business rules and the interactions are automatically moving them through the process, they should hit a status that would then cancel it out.
Okay.
So there are the interactions are based on the drips. So let me go back to my first drip here. So where you'll cancel out of the drip is if you interact with the drip. The only other interaction would be completing, I mean, I guess we could technically do a task completion, but that might get a little messy.
Right.
So that's why we left it on status, because if your business rules are set right, if you complete a tour, it takes them to tour completed status, which would then cancel it out.
Okay.
So
your business rules and your drip campaigns are working together. They're not working against each other. That makes more sense.
They're a perfect alignment. This is meant to be doing all of that communication side of it with text and email, and letting business rules, move the lead through the statuses, set up the task of the follow-ups, and then fire off the drip campaigns for you.
I like that, because I think what it does is it does not allow those to, like he said, to intersect or cross paths, so that you keep more complicated stop triggers in your business rules and status triggers here in your drip campaigns, because these are only communications, not status related. I like it. Okay.
And then the last page is just kind of the summary of it all. and then it's ready to
It's ready to go.
ready to go.
All right, so before we jump to launching it, tell me about the actions. I know the red action will cancel this drip campaign everywhere it's at, no matter where anybody's at on that campaign, right? So if all of a sudden your 10% off promo ends or you're going to do a new one, you can literally just cancel it and everybody who's queued up will stop. Correct?
That's correct. And this is kind of version 1 of this screen. There's a version 2 that's coming that's going to look slightly different than this, but it's just to clean it up a little bit.
Okay.
It's basically this one right here. Does you know if any one of these have data on them?
They don't.
They don't. Okay. So I'll just talk about it real quick. This one is just a graph that shows you who's interacted with it. So were they using Outlook? Were they using webmail? Were they using their phone? So this is so you can see what medium, if you will, they're
It's being
interacting
opened
with
on,
it.
right.
Yep. And then this one here is if you just want, it just plots out if you have links in your emails, it shows you which ones are being actioned.
Like a heat map, right?
Like a heat map.
Okay.
And then you're right, this one here, it just kills all instances of the drip campaign. Now, it doesn't stop it from going, it just kills all instances that are pending or that are in queue. If I hit the cancel button now and somebody does something to fire a business rule, it will fire it off again. But that's if you're just kind of hitting the reset button on it.
I see.
And if you're trying to clear everything out,
Okay.
you're going to make a change to it, or you made a change to the way the drip's going to work and you want to clear it out before you fire it off again.
Okay.
And then there's, like I say, there's a few more options, and this interface is changing just a little bit more.
Okay. All right, let's talk about how we fire them. So let's talk about while we're here, let's talk about doing it within a group before you jump to settings. So if I want to send a drip campaign to a large group of people, you can do that pre-K fall promo at the very top. So here's the group of people that you want to interact with, and maybe I built out a kindergarten readiness campaign. So you can just hit next, just like you would have on your group. Now without the one that's been added now is you can start a drip campaign versus sending an email, a text, a task, a mailing label. So you just pick your kindergarten readiness, or this is a test, hit next, and the rest of it follows as normal. Again, with your two-way text and email, you can view all of the replies to these drip campaigns within the group send option. You can review them within the leads file, but now you can say, instead of queuing up email by email, you can build your kindergarten readiness campaign and kick it off to the whole group of people. And manage groups is very, very dynamic, remember. So if you add somebody to that list tomorrow, that campaign should fire off. If you take somebody out, what happens then? It just cancels. The same thing as your lists are dynamic, so they're constantly changing in the manage groups feature.
Yeah. Now, just one thing to be clear. Whenever you fire off the group, it will only fire it once. Like if we fire this off,
Right.
it won't do it automatically, repetitively. Just the leads on and off the list are.
But your leads will keep going, so you
Yeah,
can
the
go
leads.
refire it, take people who've already received it out. Things
Yeah,
like
if you just use this as a bulk way to fire off the campaign,
that. Right.
yeah, it'll work just like you said.
All right, so let's talk about adding drip campaigns to my business rules,
Okay.
since they work side by side. So I've built out my campaigns. You can launch them within the group manager, you can launch them automatically within business rules, and you can launch them manually within a lead. So let's say that every time a new lead comes in that meets these criteria, I want to go ahead and launch my drip campaign. You can do that.
Or test, why not? Save.
And again, you have your stop triggers within the drip campaign based on statuses. But if you wanted to be even more, I guess, second level or tier 2, and you wanted to be able to stop based on task or child waitlist type or waitlist reason, this is where you would do it. And it would still cancel that business rule or cancel that drip campaign because the business rule would stop, right?
Right.
All right. So those still exist. They're just, we don't want them two places at the same time.
Well, and this also allows you to be a little bit more dynamic because you may cancel the group differently than you would the
Right.
business rule. And in some cases, this allows you to kind of loosen up your business rules because you probably want every lead to have a follow-up task or a beginning task that can be a little more kind of, don't say ambiguous, but a little more global. And then you can have your drip campaigns be very targeted.
Yeah, I just think drip campaigns, I've said it since we started, but I love the other features. Do not get me wrong. I just feel like drip campaigns are the game changer. They clean the system up so much. They make it so much more intuitive. They allow you so much more flexibility, especially our franchise users that, you know, you've had these templates up at corporate level. Now you can kind of create your own tailored communication. You don't have to rely on that. So I just think this one is the game changer. And if you use it correctly, it will really step your communication and your relationships up a notch. Again, you really need to think through it, because if you kick it off the wrong way, you're going to have a big mess on your hands. That is why intentionally we've left this up to corporate level administrators, people who know what they're doing and are very comfortable in the system. I still say, give us a call, let us hold your hand the first time you do it.
Yeah.
All right, so how about kicking it off on a lead? This is where directors can interact with it. So once you've built the campaigns out and you've got all the parameters set up, your location level people, your regional directors, your executive directors, they can still kick these campaigns off. So Ryan, show them how they do that.
Just right there on the lead screen, you see this new section here called Drip Campaigns, and we'll fire off our test one here, and give it a second to refresh here.
Does a drip campaign, did we actually save all of the stuff in there? That's funny.
Oh, you know what? Let me actually do your other one. I'll just do this one. There we go.
So once you expand that, within the drip campaign, tell me what the options are. One thing I don't see, and I am happy if this is the case, you cannot edit a drip campaign email like you can a regular one. Yes. Okay, that is good, everybody. Don't get upset. That is good, because remember, you've intentionally put this promo messaging in. You've done all the merge variables you want. These are not meant to be the customizable tour confirmation, tour thank you, and I want you to customize. I really do. A drip campaign is meant to be promotional, static, unchanging. This is the messaging. We don't want somebody going in and saying, hey Ryan, and as a follow-up to this, you just want these messages to go off. So that's why you don't see that edit there. If there's a message that you want edited, it probably doesn't belong in a drip campaign. It belongs in a business rule. Okay?
That's correct. So unique one-off messages you want to do, you keep them in the business rules. One other thing we changed, and this is a back-end piece that we modified, is before, when a business rule would fire off, it would stack the outbound emails with the merged content already. Mm-hmm. So if you, let's just say for example, you had, this is exaggerant, but 10 emails going off 5 days apart from each other. So that's 50 days.
Don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. But to exaggerate here a little bit. So if you had on the 50th day, the last email would go off. Well, whatever was at the time that business rule fired, that content was already set. Well, let's say on day 20 you modified the business rule, or modified the template, sorry. It wouldn't update it. Versus now, it merges at the time of sending, which means you can edit your template ahead of time, or if you edit it, 10 days into the campaign, you find a typo, or you want to oops something, or you just want to change the content, you like color purple instead of pink, you can edit the template and it won't affect. Now, anybody that's already sent, they got the old version.
Right.
Anybody that sends in the future or from that point on will get the new one.
Right.
So you don't have to go cancel. You just edit the template and it goes.
You know where that was really backfiring on you guys is when you really took the time and you built these really long drip campaigns out, and they would go 6 months, a year into the future. You all have the best intentions that you're going to hang on to those directors or the person that's in that merge variable or in that seat. And what would happen is you'd have emails queued up for a year down the road that had the wrong director's name in it. And we always told you guys you have to cancel it, you need to edit it, it's a pain. But what Ryan's saying now is if you queue a drip campaign that goes for 9 months and all of a sudden you change the enrollment rep, or you change the location director, or you change the date and time of the event that's supposed to be on email 5, it will change all of that for you. You don't need to go back to the campaign and edit it and just change the template. Is that the same for queued up emails in the future outside of drip campaigns?
That's everything.
Yes.
Awesome. We're moving to the time of sending as opposed to the time of generation, which you can see on the screen here. You see where I've got my timed in the future. So because I did third. So what's my expected start date on that particular
8/13.
one? Okay. So then you can see where I did 16, which is now, and then 23rd and 24th. So that is.
I love it. So a location level user can queue a campaign and they can cancel a campaign if they have the privileges to do so.
Correct.
So again, even if you have a location level user that you don't want to be able to cancel a campaign at all, you just take that privilege away from them and they can't do it, right?
Right.
Okay. All right.
So that way they can see if anybody wants to see what's going on. You can see what's being pending. You can see when it's going on. You can see the status when it's sent. And then also, whenever you come in on the communication side, you will see it when it actually goes, and you can interact with it just like an outbound email.
Okay.
Regular email.
All right. I'm so excited about drip campaigns.